For me, the book was not as emotionally wrenching. Shut up. The dog won't shut up. Hi everyone, I'm another Chatterbooks and I'm back for another new video. Today I'm gonna talk to you about my 6 favorite books I read in 2022. The first one, like many people, is All My Rage by Sabah Tahir. This is the story of Salahuddin and Noor. These two are more than best friends, they're like family. They are both outcast, brown Muslim kids that grew up together in a small town in California. And when they found each other, they kept with each other and they understand each other, so they've been friends forever. Until one day the fight happens. The fight with a capital F, which will scar them forever and which will put a pause to their friendship. Some of the themes in this book, like alcoholism, grief, poverty, etc., reminded me a lot of one of my favorite YA books of all time, which is The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. However, the tone was completely different. The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian uses dark humor to tell traumatic events, whereas All My Rage delves into the trauma with raw emotion. This book is definitely the embodiment, the definition of feminine rage and of minority rage. I love how Noor's vulnerabilities were shown through repetitions, almost like small mantras of things she's trying to convince herself of, repeated several times through the book. To try to not remember some traumatic events of her childhood. She's repeating the story that she's been told about herself, about her story, to try to convince herself and to try to convince her incognition self that that is the truth, where when the traumatic events are almost on the brink of resurfacing in her life. I also loved the discourse through the character of Salahuddin around the prison system and how it incarcerates black and brown people unjustly and disproportionately. For me, the book was not as emotionally wrenching. Shut up. The dog won't shut up. For me, the book was not as emotionally wrenching as some people have been talking about it on the social media and on Goodreads, etc. However, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful tale of trauma. So I feel like it definitely deserves the praise and all the awards that the book has won, because Sabah Tahir has succeeded in writing a story of the tragedies that are so common in many young Muslim people's lives, and she made it beautiful, and that definitely deserves the praise. She makes it beautiful, she makes it memorable, she makes it make sense, and I loved it. Let me just read you one of the quotes that I really loved in the book. Sometimes we hold on to things we shouldn't. People, places, emotions. We try to control all of it when what we should be doing is trusting in something bigger. Okay, the second book is Love from Mecca to Medina. So this is the sequel to Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali. And if you don't know what Love from A to Z is about, it's a YA romance where two characters, Adam and Zainab, Muslim teenagers, meet in Doha and yeah, they just fell in love basically. So in this book we're told about the evolution of their story, and it's just a way more adult romance book. This book is all about being an adult, being responsible for yourself, for your words, for your actions, and for your relationship, obviously. It's about love through hardships. It's about all the small things that destroy many relationships nowadays, unfortunately, like miscommunication, jealousy, money problems, and most of all, secrets. So in this book, Adam and Zainab have to go through a long-distance relationship. So they have to go through stressful life events away from each other. Zainab is being harassed in uni, and Adam is desperately trying to find work in Doha. And the story is crafted in a way that this miscommunication is going to lead them to a spiritual journey. A spiritual journey in the form of a trip to Umrah, small pilgrimage for Muslims, where they both find themselves estranged from each other and where they have to fight to get into focusing on the spiritual part of it because of how they are in dire need to talk to each other and to mend their relationship. Third favorite book I've loved in 2022. So this one is non-fiction. I don't have it here because I borrowed it at the library, and it's a French book actually. It's called Zéro Sucre, meaning zero sugar, by Daniel Gerkens. So basically in 2022 I've cut on sugar during 7 months, and this book has helped me a lot in that journey. It's basically the tale of the journalist going through a year without sugar. She also gives scientific proof with studies and interviews with scientists of the nasty effects that sugar has on our health and on our body. This book has achieved to convince me of the effect of sugar on so many diseases, cancers, and basically the nasty effect of sugar on our body. So obviously there is already sugar in natural raw products like wheat, milk, fruits. But what we decide to do is add sugar to our milk and coffee, add sugar to our fruits and make it a very sugary dessert, and add sugar to wheat to make it, I don't know, some brioche or some bun or something. So it's basically become an addiction. And here are 3 things that I learned in this book and that kept in my mind ever since I read it, even if I started eating sugar again. So the first thing is that the sugar lobby is very strong, and we have to be careful to whatever we hear about nutrition, because the sugar lobby even has scientists and doctors working for them. The second thing is that fruits are amazing, but we have to be careful to the way that we eat them. In 60 years, mind you, we have doubled the consumptions of fruits in France. So in the 1950s, we used to eat something like 40 kilograms of fruits per person, whereas in the 2010s it's become 80 kilos per inhabitant. And why is that? Because basically more than half of those 80 kilograms are transformed fruit. And that's disquieting. Why? Because when they are transformed, the fruits lose their fibers. And fibers are the things that balance the sugar and that make it digestible. So eating them raw, not in juice, not cooked, is always better. Third point is about cinnamon. Did you know that cinnamon is one of the products that has the biggest sugary power, and at the same time it lowers glycemia? So again, that's proven scientifically, and that's amazing because now you can add cinnamon to your apple pie if you're craving sugar, and you can add cinnamon to your coffee, to your latte if you want to reduce on sugar. Again, I don't have it here, but I'm probably gonna buy it because it was so amazing. And that is Homegoing by Ya Gyasi. I feel like this book should be considered a classic. It is a breathtaking novel, a historical family saga. It's the tale of 2 Ghanaian sisters in the 18th century that are separated, that don't know about each other, and it's the tale of all their descendants through generations and generations, through 300 years. The story goes through a small Ashanti Ghanaian village to slavery, America, and even through London. It deals with so many themes and historical moments. Among them, the tribal wars that were used by colonialists to get more slaves, the Anglo-Ashanti Wars, the use of black forces during the Reconstruction era in the US, the civil rights movements, and so many more. It deals with rape as a power tool, it deals with the longing for your country, it deals with the longing for your family, it deals with so many themes. Anyway, just read it. This book is such a classic. It's so powerful. It's so well written. I don't know what to say anymore to convince you, but just go and borrow it at the library like me, or buy it or purchase it. Read it, please. This one was my first 5-star read in 2022. It's Finding Me by Viola Davis. Yep, you heard well, Viola Davis, aka the woman behind the amazing Annalise Keating performance, obviously. I listened to the audiobook and wow, it's read by Viola Davis, and wow, she is so eloquent, she is so remarkable. So it's her memoir, it's her life story, and it's not about Hollywood or her acting career. It is her coming of age story from being a little black girl in a poor family growing up in South Carolina to becoming a woman who has gone through violence and many traumatic events during all her life. She tells us about how she tried to basically heal her inner child as she grew into adulthood. I love the fact that this book deals with the impact on mental health that poverty has, and the impact that it has on projecting yourself in the future. Viola Davis also underlines the impact that poverty still holds on you even when you succeed, because it's not only about you making it as a person, it's also about your family, your community. Basically, she is what we call in France a transfuge de classe, which means someone that has climbed the social ladder in his life and that has found difficulty into fitting in the new class that he is in, and at the same time not fitting in the old class that he has left. So for instance, she tells us about when she got into Juilliard, aka the best acting school ever, the fact that she had a hard time with the art that was always white-centered, but then her education and success also make for a difficult relationship with the people that she left behind. One last thing that I loved about this memoir is that she tells us about how fate has helped her survive, and I feel like it's so refreshing to see fate as something that's portrayed positively in a memoir. Okay, so the last book I want to talk to you about is actually a saga. It's a fantasy saga. Obviously I had to put some fantasy in this video, and it is the Mirror Quartet saga by Christelle Dabo. So this saga had me spellbound from the first book to the fourth book. I read them in a row in 1 month in January 2022, and I keep on thinking about that ending of the third book, which I'm still mad about, by the way. So in the first book, which is The Winter's Promise, we discover the main character, Ophelia. Ophelia lives in a planet called Anima, and Ophelia has the power to read beyond the past and the history of objects when she touches them. She also has the skill to pass through mirrors, and that's a skill that's passed to her from previous generations. So Ophelia lives in a big house with a big family, but what happens is that an arranged marriage is organized for her. So Ophelia is to go live with her new husband, Thorn. Thorn is a taciturn and silent man, and Ophelia is not the same. Ophelia is a family girl and Thorn is a loner, and she's gonna find herself very lonely in her marriage. They live in the Cité Céleste, which is the capital city of the planet where Thorn lives and where he has political power. It's a cold, icy planet called the Pole. Being very lonely, Ophelia is going to want to explore, but then she realizes that she got herself into a very dangerous game of chess coming to this new planet. So every little action she takes, every time she sneaks out and goes into the streets, her actions are going to have very important consequences. And Thorn is going to tell her to stop acting out and to stay in the house safe, but she is rebellious. So Thorn is going to have to be always behind her and to watch her to be able to control her rebellious nature so that she does not get into danger. So I'm not telling you all about this book because it's such a rich world, it's so well crafted as a saga, and even if I read it in January 2022, I still to this day find myself thinking about some of the mysteries that the book left in my head, some of the questions that are still in my head. which tell you how smart that book is. So yeah, these were my favorite books I read in 2022. Tell me what were yours?